What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Horrible Outdoorsman podcast with our host,
Chris Lopez, the Horrible Outdoorsman.
and I am Elvis with ERC Outdoors. We have opened up a shop, C&E Custom Outdoor Services, to fulfill all of your outdoor needs.
All right, so y'all stay tuned and enjoy the episode.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, appreciate y'all coming on the podcast. You want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Yeah, Seth, I'll let you go first.
Sure. I'm Seth Poston. I'm the president of Sirius Archery products, tough head broadheads, and whatever else we can think to put together. Connor.
Yep, so I am Connor Akers from Morgantown, West Virginia. I'm the VP of marketing for Sirius and Tough Head. So I handle all the social media, all the sponsorships, just anything and everything marketing for Sirius.
Sweet, man. It's nice to meet y'all.
You.
I'm Elvis Cortinas. I'm the actual co-host of the Horrible Outdoorsman podcast. Actually, this year we joined the field staff from Sirius, so pretty excited about that.
And I'm Chris Lopez, the Horrible Outdoorsman. That's me. That's where the name comes from. And most people don't expect a large 6'4", 350-pounder to be a bow hunter and a kayak fisherman. So
I love the name. Pretty good.
So how did Sirius Archery get its start?
I'll field that one. So Sirius got its start by two really smart guys that started the company in Ohio. They actually started it just a little south of Dayton. And Andy Dutton and Tim Thacker were the original owners. Tim Thacker is just wonderful as far as marketing, sales, and Andy Dutton was an aerospace engineer. So between the two of them, they had both the marketing side, but then also the real technical side. And they had the company, grew it for about 18 months. And like everything else, they had other stuff going on in life too. They had, Tim had other companies, and Andy was a full-time aerospace engineer for GE. So it started growing and getting traction. And then all of a sudden their hobby business turned into a real lifestyle. And at that time, it just couldn't replace either one of their salaries, so that they could just leave everything else. So I went on a bear hunting trip. I was working for a multi-billion-dollar company through COVID, and was then their senior management, and needed some time off. I was hunting with Sirius product already. I called them and said, hey, can you rush me some arrows? Because they say they're going to open the Canadian border, and I've got a bear hunt scheduled. And they're like, sure, we can get those out in the next day or two. Well, it turned out later that day, I found out they weren't opening the border. They're going to postpone it another 30 days. And then everybody knows it was probably almost another year. Yeah. But Tim Thacker said, hey, we just had a couple people back out on our bear hunt to Maine. Would you be interested in going? And I said, man, that'd be great, because I want to go hunt somewhere. And I had called him back just to tell him, you don't need to send me these arrows in a hurry. I said, I really appreciate it, but it's canceled. That's when he just let me know that they had a couple openings, and we went up to Maine. And ironically enough, Jason Wojo, he's got a name that's about, 15 letters long. We just call him Wojo. He at the time owned Tough Head broadheads, and I was shooting their product, and he was going to Canada with me. So we all just packed up, went up to Maine. We hunted in Maine, and I think Tim may have spent a combined 2.5 days maybe up there before turning around and coming back, because he was so busy. And I just felt God saying, why don't you shoot him a text and see if they'd be interested in selling or taking on another partner anyways. I just knew that at that time I hated my corporate job. I had owned companies before. I sold them, thought, I'm going to be retired forever. Lasted about a month. I was bored, went back in and started working for the man again, and realized I'm probably not the right man to work for the man. And at that time I was in, 3 different cities every week, 8 or 9 different plane rides. And it was just kind of a miserable existence. So I thought Sirius seems like it might be a good lifestyle business because, if they're that busy that they're working their full-time jobs and having to work at night to get the orders out, if I just worked and maybe had somebody to help me during the day, then we could probably make this a lifestyle business and all would be good. And it was about 1 month into it. My daughter and I woke up and we were on the wrong side of 800 orders. Without people to help get them out, we were running short on product. It was that first couple months was really painful. And it was just the popularity between the Ranch Fairy shooting the product, T-Bone was shooting the product, and, just what a couple little things on social media can do. And we woke up one morning and we were on the wrong side of 800 orders. So we expanded our processes. We worked out of my basement with some days 9 people showing up. Most days it was about 7 people would show up, and we'd work out of my basement. We did that for about 7 months until we were able to get the current location we're at now. We're already out of space here again, but God's good. It's been a good ride. It's been it was really challenging at the beginning, and for different reasons that it's challenging now. Now we're looking at we're inventoried up pretty well. We've got lots of product, and right now the market's slowing down a little bit. We're kind of seeing that across the board. We heard some of the major manufacturers of the bows now are even what they have now is what they're going to carry through the rest of the year instead of continuing on production. So we'll see how this plays out. A lot of our core drive diesel pickup trucks, and diesel's up over $5 a gallon. And we've got a lot of headwinds, but by God's grace, we're still up above last year. I had some lofty goals for this year I hoped we were going to hit. We still may. Connor's doing a bang-up job on the advertising side and on the marketing side. So we still may hit them, but it's not going to be without a whole lot of effort.
Oh, yeah. And that's a pretty good story,
So how long does it take from, I guess, pouring the resin to dry? How long does it take to make a dozen arrow shafts?
Well, the carbon comes out of Japan.
Okay.
So the carbon, and it just depends on how long and what it takes to get that carbon out. Some carbon's easier than others. If you want a standard carbon like what's in our TreadStar line, that carbon's pretty easy to get. It's 24T is what most of the major manufacturers are utilizing. It's not too difficult to get. Some of the carbon we're using, you have to certify you're not using it for a foreign government's military because it's in the top 1% of carbons in the world. So when you have to do that, there's other hoops to jump through, and there's a lot of scarcity now because of obviously conflicts all over the world. A lot of that carbon is used in that aerospace engineer for some high-tech planes, weaponry, things like that. So that carbon is more difficult to get. So to say from start to finish, from the time you buy the carbon till the time it's being pushed out our door as a bare shaft, you're looking at a minimum of 90 days, more likely 150 days.
Wow, I didn't realize that. That's nuts.
You couldn't have paid me to guess that. I mean, I did not know it was that long of a process.
Yeah, it's a long process. It's a process that what we have coming in for this summer, we were working on last winter. So it's not a fast process. That you have, just delays like everything else. COVID hits here, you run out of boxes. COVID hits there, you run out of resin, and you have plenty of carbon. It's day by day something else. But it's been good. We've been fully stocked for the year, and I think we're going to have enough to carry us through September. Nice. Plus, we're not going to really divulge much now, but we have a big launch coming out pretty soon. I think people will be pretty excited about that. That is going to That one will turn some heads, and that is a very, very special carbon that no one's utilized yet. So
I see Connor's over there smiling, man. He's got a good smirk on his face.
What size are those going to be?
Yeah, we get the wallet ready.
we'll talk off the air.
That's good to hear.
We'll talk off the air.
All right, sweet.
But yeah, that'll hit here in the next 30 days, and we designed that to try to hit. Actually, it was supposed to hit about a month ago, but like everything else, it just didn't. And some of the reasons that the arrows are as special as they are, and the folks, who shoot them, they can attest to the fact that these things are super strong and they're pretty light. But a lot of this comes down to Andy Dutton's engineering. It's not just the carbon. You have a resin mixture in there too that has to be just right. They come in pre-pregnated sheets. So when we order these, the resin is paired with the carbon. But then on top of that, it's how, and we don't tell people how we do it, but we lay the layers in a way that when you can lay the layers completely parallel. Like some very inexpensive shafts are going to be laid parallel. They're not typically super strong. But you can get them pretty straight. But again, they're not going to be super strong. You can start laying them in different degrees, the angles that you lay the carbon, because, for example, like on the Apollo 250, that's got 7 layers of carbon. So those are all layered together, and they're mashed together, and they're rolled on a roll table. And then they have a certain heat profile that takes them up in temperature at a certain rate per minute, and then it has to be cooled down at a certain rate. And if you mess with that, any of that, you get wobble. So anyways, it's how he designed the way the layers are laid in an overlapping pattern and the angle that they actually are laid at. And that's where a lot of the cost of the Apollo, any of our arrows really come from. It comes from the fact that these the places that spin them and ultimately put them in the oven for us like to throw those things down in parallel. They like to get them in, get them out fast, and our process seriously slows them down. So they take their opportunity to stick it to us on the price. But the end result is when you get the arrow, that buck of a lifetime staying there, you got that 170, 180, 190, and he's standing broadside. Yeah. You hit his shoulder, you don't have to worry about whether or not the arrow is going to break. You've got the confidence to know that everything in your quiver is going to be very spine consistent. That's a really big thing with us. They spine the same, that the weights are really, really close, and then that you have the straightness. And that's a really big deal when it comes down to, especially with these Western guys and these long range shots. If you're shooting a .006 arrow, you're introducing a lot of wobble on those fixed blade broadheads as it's going down range, and your vanes have to fight really, really hard to overcome that. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of why our arrows are the way they are. It's just because of the way Andy set down that the layers had to be laid. And of course, we don't let that angle out because we don't want it replicated. But, suffice it to say, that's why you get the strength and you get the straightness, is because of the way he originally had them lay the layers.
I think we can absolutely agree with that. So right here, I don't know if you can see, Seth, but Connor, you can. Those Orions, all 3 of them are within a grain of each other. And the next build, I think the build I have after that I'm shooting right now, they're within 1/10 of a grain, awesome. all 3 of them together. And we went to tack with Orions, both of us. And we bent a few aluminum collars from hitting trees and the post inside the animal or inside the 3D target, but we never cracked an arrow. None of our arrows splintered, none of them cracked. And we're not shooting light. I pulled 30 and 75, and I'm shooting 5. Those were 552. The ones I'm shooting now are 550. So with 20% FOC. So it's not like I'm shooting, these little light flapper things. So when I hit a tree or a 3D target, it thumps. And I can say absolutely, we never had a cracked arrow.
No, none of mine. Like you said, the whole process that just explained, man. I mean, it's really eye opening that I mean, it does take some time, but at the end result is, you know, we can testify to it that them arrows, man, they're solid, dude. They're straight and they're tough, like you said, man. And like I said, I'm just happy to be a part of the team, and you know, something we can stand behind and actually be happy with. You know, I will say this: there was like a graveyard of arrows by every target.
Oh yeah,
I didn't see not one serious arrow into that graveyard. So I mean, bad shot or not, I mean, your arrow is going to be good, you know. So that's pretty cool, man.
And that's part of the thing with the inserts. You can replace those. With competitor brands, if the arrow doesn't break, their inserts are pretty difficult to get out. Ethics makes really good inserts. That's who we utilize on the Apollo. That's our patented design, and that thing we had to test out a new heat treat a couple weeks ago on some broadheads. So we had to destroy 24 of them. So Tyler, he's got an 80-pound bow, 30-inch draw. It's a Hoyt, I think, Factor Turbo. So he did all of our testing for us. And we used 4 arrows for that 24, those 24 broadheads. He shoots them into concrete at 10 yards. Then we take and look at how did each of the broadheads do. So we can decide, you know, how high the temperature and then what temperature that they're going to use. And so he used those 4 arrows, shot them 6 times. And that was with the half jacket system. Took them back in and spun them. And they spun like when you went out. So it's a pretty special system on those, but you know, anything aluminum is going to bend, especially in the 166 stuff. If you decide to go all aluminum because you need to get light, your arrow's not going to break. You're not going to lose the front end of the arrow, but what you probably will do is wind up just replacing an insert. And you're going to have to accept that if you want to get that 410 grain arrow, and you want to get down that super light because you want to shoot 100 yards, it's gonna bend over time. So there's the aluminum system on the Apollos. We haven't had any issues with those bending as long as you always couple them with a stainless steel sleeve. Even through all the destructive testing we did, as long as there was a stainless steel sleeve on there, buddy, that we didn't bend. They didn't bend. Now, we broke some arrows because we were torture testing these dudes, but we never did have a field point that wouldn't unscrew, and we never did have a problem with a bent insert. It's a little bit different when you go to all aluminum, though. You know, you have to understand if you're going to hit a brick wall at a 45-degree angle out of an 80-pound bow at 7 yards, you're going to have some stuff bend.
Something's got to give.
Something's got to give. Because we could make an arrow. We could make an arrow that you could shoot and it wouldn't bend, but you wouldn't want to shoot it, and you probably couldn't afford it.
Right. I mean, I think we both went into our builds knowing we had an aluminum sleeve on there, and we were okay with that. Like, if the aluminum sleeve bends, that's fine. I can replace the sleeve. But like you said, I don't have to replace a whole shaft now, which I'm okay with. If I can buy 18 shafts and I have to buy 100 inserts, well, I'm fine with that.
Right. And our customer base, as far as repeat customers, it's huge. Our repeat customer business is crazy. And I don't think they're buying new product because they're breaking the old stuff. I think they just like to tinker and play with new. They buy new bows. They want a different length. They want to try the right. Yeah.
Guilty.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Right.
So why did y'all partner with Ethics instead of making all your own inserts? Is it just because they already had such a good system in line?
They do have a good system. They have, and this was done prior to me buying the company. They had the outsert systems are already available. They have a patent pending on that. And as far as us building our own, we went to Ethics to partner on like the half jacket system. We said, hey, here's our concept. Here's the drawings. Can you do this? They looked at it and said, yeah. And I went down to North Carolina and sat down with them for a couple of days and walked out of there with a product that is as good as anything on a 204. I'll go out and say it's the best on a 204 that you can put on out there, and that comes standard with our arrows. We don't upcharge for that. That's something that's standard on all the Apollos now. So, we want to have whatever the strongest components we can put with our arrows because they make the arrows look better. Obviously, we don't make the components, but if you have a component failure or you crack the front of your arrow because the component wasn't any good, then it looks bad on everybody. So there are other systems out there, and this isn't to poo-poo any of them because there's good systems out there too, but there's a lot of bad systems out there.
No.
And we did away with the half jacket system, or excuse me, not the half jacket, the half out system about a month and a half ago, and that was a big step up in quality. And we didn't raise price when we did that, but it did cost significantly more what we're doing now. But in this economy, we just didn't feel like we really could. But the overall cost of ownership went down for the end user because now, he's not worried about breaking the half out right at the neck.
Yep.
So it was a win for the customer.
Yep. I agree, man.
So I'm going to ask a personal question. When are 125 Tough Heads coming out, if ever?
Man, you guys got to be just a little bit patient. I'm saying when I say patient, I mean patient by a couple of weeks. Maybe
it's a process. It's a process.
It's a process. But I say if you're patient for another couple of weeks, you'll be pretty happy.
Oh, okay. I like the sound of that.
Thank you, Jesus.
So y'all just went on a South Texas hunt. Who went? Both of y'all, or just you,
Both
Connor?
of us. Yep. Both of us.
So was that the first time y'all been to South Texas hunting?
So no, we've been down to the Santa Ramon Ranch twice. The first time when was the first trip, Seth? March?
I think it was March.
Somewhere in March, just straight javelinas. We both killed one, and the weather just got awful. So we were like, we got to go back. Let's go back. So the weather nice and warm. We get down there, and they said, hey, let's hunt rattlesnakes. So we drove around hunting rattlesnakes, javelinas. I shot a hog. We love it down there, though. We love South Texas hunting.
So have y'all been South Texas hunting during the rut for
Not
deer?
yet.
So I've been a couple of times. I got to tell you, there's no place to rattle like South Texas because you'll have deer coming in on a rope, big, just aggressive bucks. Now the body's not as big as say Kansas or Iowa,
Right.
but you're going to have the same size rack, and they're going to be so aggressive because of the amount of deer there. It's just going to be insane. You're going to love it.
I'd love to kill one of those big chocolate rack South
Yeah,
Texas.
there you go. That's what they're known for.
And when we were down there on this last trip, Connor went out and they had some wild hogs get onto the ranch, and they were doing their best to try to eradicate them. And they're like, hey, if you guys want to go shoot any of those, go for it. So they set up a blind. And I think Connor said in the video it was about 20-mile-an-hour winds. It was 35 sustained, blowing 50. It was the whole time we were there. It was the most ridiculous wind I've ever been in. But so he's out over there. We'd given up on trying to find javelina. We had been driving for hours. It was me and Ranch Ferry and Eric Gutierrez, one of the owners of Triple E Outfitters, and we were just driving around. It was 100 degrees. At one time, this thing hit 103. I took a picture of it. I don't know why we didn't use that in the video, but and we were driving around, and so we see this huge drag across the road for rattlesnake because we'd given up on looking for javelina. So we go and we're looking all over this rattlesnake, and 30 yards behind the truck, our javelina eating in the road. We hadn't dropped any corn. Nothing had been dropped. They just came out, and every one of them had been so jumpy the whole time we were there. The first trip we were there, they were pretty calm and tame. This last one with that wind, they were nuts. And then for whatever reason, these dumb ones stayed out there while we grabbed cameras out of the truck. We grabbed bows out of the truck. We walked at them. And so it was a pretty magical place. It was really, really fun to see how much game they have. That San Ramon Ranch has got it going on. And I hope we're going to go back there for a deer hunt in November, sometime a little before Thanksgiving. I know the rut hits a little bit later, but they book up pretty quick. So But yeah, it's pretty magical.
Javelina hunting's just a blast. I mean, I know they're a dumber animal, but just the
that's
bow
fine.
on those,
It's fun. It's
spot and
fun.
stalk. Oh, it's so much fun. It's a blast.
They're
And
the
every-
perfect archery spot and stalk animal because they're
someone's
small
if someone's learning to spot and stalk,
Oh, yeah.
Javelina is the way to go.
and they're tasty.
They are. They're very tasty.
Yeah. I remember the first time eating it, I just thought it was a pig. I was like, oh yeah, it's pig, whatever.
How old did we have it, Seth? We had the tenderloin. We had Javelina ribs. I think there was a stew even. We've had it.
Yeah.
My grandpa just threw the whole thing on the grill and we just walked up with tortillas and just, that was it. Just grab a piece and go, man. They're just so
Yeah,
good.
and they cook like nobody's business down at that ranch. I'm telling you, like I gorged. You roll out of there. The problem was we were eating at like 9 o'clock at night, so then you roll out of there, gorge, and try to go to bed.
Yeah.
But that's pretty awesome, and we've had a lot of good adventures this past year. It's from Africa to South Florida, that was one of the more fun hunts that I can ever remember.
With the iguanas. Y'all ate the iguana, right?
Some of the people that we went with brought them back.
Okay, so what do they taste
we
like?
haven't. They say it tastes exactly like chicken.
Well, I don't like chicken, so that's fine.
I love chicken.
Yeah.
I love chicken.
I'm out.
Yeah. So that, in fact, we just found out that outfitter just retired, and I was so bummed because that was on my list to get out of this cold weather up here next year in January or February was to go back down there, but that was a blast.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. All right.
That's what the questions we had, but that was pretty much all the questions.
That was pretty much it. The story was of the, I guess the start of the company was awesome. That was amazing.
Yeah, man. And I mean, everybody likes the basement companies that just started from the bottom and then just working their way up, and then you have like a quality product, as y'all do. I mean, it's everybody loves that story,
Yeah, absolutely.
But
I think one of the things that's continuing to propel the company is the fact that we spend a good amount of money on customer service. Like when you call in and you have a very technical question, the guys that answer the phone, it may not even be something with your arrow. It may be tuning on your bow, and they know how to do that from top to bottom. Very advanced stuff. So when guys call in and they're stumped, you're not going to call any of the major players and get somebody on the phone that's going to sit for 25 minutes with you while they work out your bow issue. So that's one of the things I think that the customer service aspect, no matter how big we grow, that's the part that we don't ever want to give up.
Absolutely. I don't think I've sent an email that took longer than 6 hours to get replied to. And it was like an email at 2:00 in the morning. It's
yeah, even like the shipping process and everything, man. You get the arrows and whatever merch, inserts, outserts, whatever we order from the website, it's within the next week. You know what I mean? In a couple of days. So I mean, that's pretty cool. But like going across the board, man. I mean, I got TradStars, the Supernovas, the Orions, and I'm even thinking about picking up some Apollos just to test out that new system. So we do a lot of tinkering, man. We really do.
Yeah. Well, and that's something that that's been the bane of our existence has been dealing with the shipping companies. We try to ship, like if you ordered on Monday at noon, it's likely going out Tuesday morning. Unless it's a customs right now, we try to keep that up to date on the website. If you're going to order a custom, we're typically under 2 weeks. Like right now we're running about a week. If you wait for 3 more weeks, it's going to be 4 weeks probably before you get your customs. And we tell people like, don't wait because, there may be 175, 250 orders ahead of you on customs. And we can only fletch with good quality so fast. So, but with the shipping, man, we have tried like everything known to man. We were with USPS because we tried to keep the shipping rates down because they were fairly low cost. And then guys complained that their boxes were getting torn up. we didn't have a whole lot of damaged arrows or anything, just components would fall out or, stuff like that. Then, so we switched to UPS. UPS has been an absolute disaster. We didn't just have crush boxes now. We had crush boxes with tops ripped off of them.
Oh, good.
Who's that box? Yeah, that's UPS? Or
No,
USPS?
it's USPS.
That's USPS, and it may have come out while we were clearing out the rest of the boxes from them from
But I got to
UPS.
tell you, with the whole, every time I've opened a box with arrows, I've had to, I've got the inserts taped to the side. I love it because they're not going anywhere. It's to me when I open that box, because I shake it, I'm a kid, right? It's toy. I can't hear anything, right? And that to me means somebody's taking the extra step to ensure that I'm going to get all my stuff no matter what.
Yeah, and we've even changed that process since your last ones. Now we have a bag that all the arrows go into, like they came before.
Mm-hmm.
And now in the end, they're either sealed, they're completely sealed on both ends, and they'll either come with the inserts and the nocks sealed in two separate compartments, all on the same tube, or they'll be inside the tube. And then both ends will be sealed so that nothing can come out. Even if they rip the box now, you're not getting it to come out. But, we switched to tubes for a while. The tubes got hard to get during COVID. I don't know if anybody knows this, but there's been a run in the cardboard market. So we finally got a big load of tubes in again about a week and a half ago. So things are going back out in tubes now. We're trying to get away from all the boxes. But it just as soon as one thing crops up, then it's another. And, guys hate paying for shipping, and I get it. Amazon has been a blessing and a curse. They deliver in 2 days, and if you're a Prime member, they're not charging anything for shipping. The problem with that is everybody's got to expect free shipping and having it in 2 days.
Yeah.
And, the minimum that we can get away with shipping one of these tubes right now is about $12.25. And the tube itself costs $1.26 before I have them shipped in on pallets. So do the math. We charge $13.99.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have packing tape and we have, bubble wrap. So all in all, right now, the shipping is probably, we're taking a little bit of a loss at most places through the U.S. And if it's going to California or Oregon or Utah, Nevada, we're taking a bath on the shipping. But again, we're trying not to raise prices. The Apollo had to go up a little bit this year, and we put out an announcement we were going to raise prices as we got them. We just haven't done it. The Apollo is the only thing that's got a price raised on it. Everything else we've maintained, and we're going to do that as long as we can. But I don't know how much longer we can do it because we do take care of our employees. We love our employees. They deserve to make a good wage, and so in order to do that and be able to stay up, we may have to raise prices shortly. But we're doing the best we can for now.
All right. Well, we're going to have to cut this meeting. I didn't realize that it cuts us after 40 minutes. So we appreciate y'all coming on. And anything else y'all want to say?
Nah, man, just keep doing what y'all doing, man. Y'all are doing great. And, like I said, we're proud to.
It shut the meeting off. It cut us off.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to email them real quick.
Can you just call them back real quick?
Let's see if I can.
Sorry, Seth and Connor.
Yeah. If we can't get y'all back, we apologize. I did not realize it was going to cut off.
It turns out that Zoom doesn't have the customer service that y'all do.
No, it does not. So I'm going to email them and let them know. Anyways, we want to appreciate them for, we want to thank them for coming on. It was a great podcast.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome, man. Like I said, like I was going to say, we're proud to be a part of that team, man. And hopefully, rather sooner than later, maybe they can do like a tour of the factory or something. We can actually see the process. I'm sure they don't want, other manufacturers or other aero companies seeing their process, which I understand. I get it.
Of course.
But for an average Joe to go in there and actually see the process, I did not know it took that long to make
That is,
a dozen of arrows.
Crazy.
But like we've been saying, though, it makes sense, though. Like,
It does.
these are probably the top quality arrows I have shot out of any of my bows. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
and I'm not saying that just because I'm on the field staff now or we're on the field staff, but I actually mean it. So, I understand why the process takes so long now, and I learned a lot today, just from a.
It is awesome. I just got an email back from Seth. He said, "Thank you guys. We really appreciate your time." Like I said, we apologize. We didn't realize the Zoom shuts off at 40 minutes because I think with Troy we were on there for an hour and a half.
Yeah, but it wasn't Zoom, was it?
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at that. It may be the amount of people that we had on there. Oh, okay. Anyways, so next episode we're gonna have A3 archery strings. We're going to do an interview for him. He recently moved to Michigan, so he's been having was it Michigan he moved to? Or Wisconsin?
Somewhere up. I think it's Michigan, if I'm mistaken.
I think it's Michigan too. Anyways, he just moved his new shop. If y'all haven't used A3 bowstrings, we really like it. I don't know why we're still staring at the camera. It's not recording.
Oh, it's not recording on the camera?
So we're just looking.
Well, you kept looking, so I kept looking. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
So if you haven't shot the A3 strings, in particular, the Bloodline fiber, those things are amazing.
Yeah, we're installing them. As a matter of fact, today we're installing them.
So I was kind of the guinea pig and went out on a limb because everybody else was scared. Try out some new strings from any other manufacturer than Gas because we know those work. Which, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I started looking into the technology and that fiber and stuff, and I'm glad I did because I went to TAC. Well, before TAC, I was prepping for TAC after I put these strings on. So, I mean, you're talking close to 1,000 shots there. Then I shot that Shoot Your Way Across Texas at the Buffalo Creek Archery Club.
Yeah, outdoor target.
That was almost 200 arrows in itself. So we're talking 1,200, maybe. I'll say 1,000 before TAC, before even going to TAC, just from long range shooting, getting the sight tape, making sure it's not going to creep, really testing the strings out, and then going to TAC. Shooting for the truck, shooting the black rhino, the steel rhino, and just practicing, and then actually shooting the courses. I've got to be close to minimum 2,700 shots to the string.
Probably, I would say closer to 3,000, and they look brand new.
Yep, and they haven't lost the actual. It's not like it's almost like a silk, like a wax silky feeling, and that finish hasn't gone away from it since putting on. And it was kind of drizzling that one day. I mean, it was very dusty over there in San Antonio, all the vehicles passing. So I mean, pretty much every scenario and situation, the branches, the cactus, I had to pull the
spines at your ass.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but oh yeah, that's right. So I'm impressed, man. I mean, let's just see how many shots we can get out of him. If I can make it past this hunting season, go through the process of like the off season, another TAC event, and I'm still sitting pretty right there. I mean, I might go get an A3 tattoo. I don't know. And I'm that impressed right now.
A on one cheek, 3 on the other.
Whatever it is, whatever it takes.
That's right. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate y'all listening. And, should we give them the field staff friends and family discount for the podcast? I feel like everybody that listens to the podcast is either friends or family.
Yeah, sure.
All right, especially since it's a Sirius Archery episode. So if you want to buy some Sirius Archery gear, everything but the Ranch Fairy kit and the Tough Heads, you can use the code SAFF10, and that'll get you a 10% discount.
On everything Sirius.
Except Tough Heads and Ranch Fairy.
Except Tough Heads and Ranch Fairy. Yep.
That's it.
Correct.
All right, guys. Well, until next time, always knock an arrow.
Appreciate y'all for tuning in.